Now, in a courtroom thick with tension and guarded with silence, 3 survivors walked in. Men whose lives were torn apart by bullets, fear, and the kind of violence that stains a nation's memory. Before a panel of 4 judges of the International Crimes Division, their identities concealed for their safety, the victims relived the terror that unfolded 6 years ago, a series of robberies, shootings, and cold-blooded murders now linked to the men accused of attempting to assassinate the current Minister of Works and Transport, General Katumba Edward Wamala. Nevertheless, none of their stories was as shocking or as painful as that of a 56-year-old real estate dealer, the man who says that not only did the bullet shatter his body, but as well as crushed his dignity. The day Cheap Hardware turned into a war zone on 29th of May 2019 at around 2 p.m. Cheap Hardware, Nansana, one busy afternoon, customers bargaining, trucks reversing, and metal scrapping as the usual Kampala soundtrack. And then, the chaos broke loose. A 36-year-old storekeeper stepped out for a fresh of breath air, and before he could even blink, gunfire was heard. A security guard running for his life. Panic was everywhere. A bullet ripped into his shoulder, tearing right through his thumb as he tried to escape. He never even saw the attackers. He woke up 2 days later in Nakasero Hospital, barely cautious and lucky to be alive. The second victim, a 31-year-old food distributor for security guards, had just finished arranging meal containers when gunshots exploded right behind him. 2 masked men, a burning hit to the arm. He instantly dropped, crawling under the truck as bullets ricocheted over his head, one of them deflecting right into his thigh. 10 minutes of terror, and by the time police arrived, one person lay dead and his clothes were soaked in blood. But the courtroom fell into a deeper silence when the third victim, the man who had walked into the shop carrying 400,000 shillings, took the stand. I thought it was a tire burst until my world went dark. He had come to buy about 10 bags of cement. He was still counting the money when he had the first blast and another and another. Instinctively, he dropped to the floor, landing on top of a cashier as the bullets chewed right through the room. One of the gunmen barked in Luganda. I told you to leave this place, but you refused. Then came the pain, sharp, soaring, and yet unforgettable. A bullet tore right through his thigh, ripped through his private parts, and exited through his penis. He thought he was dying. He tried to speak, to breathe, to see, but the world around him was already blurry. His red shirt soaked with blood, a color he mistook for fabric dye. At Nakasero Hospital, staff asked questions in English, in Luganda, and in Swahili, but he could only whisper one thing: "My children. I left behind my children." For 3 days, he lay in hospital, and 2 weeks later, he was on crutches. 3 months later, he was able to stand straight. And even now, the scar, the memory, and the humiliation remain. Facing the men in the dock are Muhammad Kagugube, Abdallah Aziz Ramadan, Dunka, Kamada Walusimbib, Habib Ramadan, Huzaifa Wampa, all the men who are on remand in Luzira at the moment. These men face 30 charges, including terrorism, murder and attempted murder, aggravated robbery, financing terrorism, and belonging to the ADF. Police say guns recovered from their homes match a string of assassinations, including the killing of Major Muhammad Chigundu in 2016 and the shooting of AIGP Andrew Felix Kawesi's bodyguard in 2017. What began as a prosecution of a single attempted assassination has now opened a window into years of coordinated violence, robberies, killings, and bloodshed that crisscrossed the city. As court adjourns tomorrow, the survivors walk out slowly, some limping, some masking their pain, all still haunted by the bullets they escaped. Their testimonies are more than mere evidence. They are reminders that for those who lived through the Cheap Hardware's blood-soaked afternoon, justice is not just a verdict. It is the only way to silence the echoes of gunfire that they still hear. Story compiled by Judith Kukunda, Uganda Radio Network, in Kampala.